SummerSlam, as we talked about in the beginning, SummerSlam is coming to Cleveland Browns Stadium. You have talked about this. You think this is more of a test from the Haslams to see how Brown Stadium does with as big of a crowd as it's going to be. Although from what I've seen on the ticket sales, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a total sellout at Brown Stadium.
I think they'll get it there by the event. Sounds like it's going to be about 50 to 55,000. Which you take the ring and all that, it's still going to be a massive crowd.
Oh yeah, um, and they've already shown pictures of the setup. It's going to be like those four tall pillars with the ring in the middle. So I wonder, do you think they're gonna have like the classic stage setup, or is it gonna be like the ramp?
It's not going to be a WrestleMania stage. It's going to be the more stadium setup that they've done for Elimination Chamber and the other stadium shows they've done, which is more the ramp and a simpler stage. Um, Now, with that being said, before we get into this preview, I would like to say that if you are in the Cleveland, Ohio area, there are tons of events going on. Not only at the Agora, but there's a team shop at Tower City, multiple meet and greets downtown. If you have the money or you have the means, by all means, I'm going to be doing some of these events, not all of them. Take advantage of it. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for the second biggest premium live event to come to your city, as it's the first time SummerSlam has been in Cleveland since the infamous Undertaker Mankind Boiler Room Brawl 1996 SummerSlam.
Yes. And SmackDown's also going to be in Cleveland the night before. They're
Yes, it
basically
is.
they're basically turning SummerSlam into hot WrestleMania. That's why I was asking you if you think they're gonna have like some type of custom stage, because as you've seen over, I would say going back to the SummerSlam in Nashville, they've tried to turn SummerSlam into, the summer version of WrestleMania.
I would go back a year before. I would say starting with Vegas in 2021. But we always knew that this was coming. It's definitely smart business. And I think when they get to Minneapolis in 2 years, it's going to be a full on summer WrestleMania. And that's more to, again, make up for Minneapolis not getting WrestleMania next year and that going to Las Vegas instead. But nonetheless, this is the second biggest show of the year. No, I don't think it's going to be a big stage. But to be honest with you, I still think it's going to be an absolute fire show, and I don't think anyone's going to really care that much.
No. Um, I think there's all but one match on this card that I'm like excited about. You know which match I'm not interested in. So I don't know if you want to just start with that match or what.
If you want, let's go ahead and do it.
It's basically, I don't know if this match is for the women's championship or if it's for the custody of Dom.
How about both?
What is it? Put the title and Dom on a pole?
I wanted them to put the title and Dom on a ladder and have Dom hang from the ceiling, or put Dom in a shark cage, or do something. Yeah, Rhea and Liv for the Women's World Championship, a rivalry that has dated back now 2+ years. They both have taken out each other's shoulders. They both have taken the championship away from each other, and now Liv Morgan is trying to complete her revenge tour by taking away Dirty Dominic Mysterio from Rhea Ripley, though I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
I, if, I've been watching Raw recently, and I feel like Rhea is going to get screwed over at SummerSlam by Dom, and this whole thing's going to be a ruse. And Dom's going to come out and say, yeah, I've been in cahoots with Liv Morgan the entire time.
I don't think that that's the way they're going to play out, but I don't think Rhea Ripley is going to retain the women's championship. I think this whole
Well,
thing with her and Dom is going to continue. There's going to be some sort of accident where Dom cost her the championship, but I don't think it's going to be a complete turn yet because I think what's going to eventually be revealed is the real person behind the Judgment Day turmoil is not Dominic Mysterio. And this is how you somehow, some way, turn the guy that gets the hell boot out of him into a baby face because Dominic Mysterio is not the one behind the Judgment Day uh, downfall, if you will. It is going to be one half of the current World Tag Team
Yes.
Champions,
Yes.
Finn Balor, who is going to reveal that even back when him and Liv Morgan were teaming up in 2022 alongside AJ Styles against the Edge version of the Judgment Day with him, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. They have been always working together to take down the Judgment Day. And Finn, Liv, and JD probably go together, and you have Dom, Rhea, and Priest together. And Carlito was just somewhere in the middle doing God knows what.
I gotta admit, Carlito's been hilarious throughout
Carlito
this
the
whole.
Judgment Day has saved his second run in WWE.
It's been hilarious. As much as I've hated this whole storyline, the Finn Balor aspect of this whole thing has kept me interested.
Remember,
you know what I mean?
Balor's the one that took the hotel key. And people were pointing out last night on Raw that, well, apparently Liv Morgan destroyed the Judgment Day's clubhouse. She did not touch any of Finn Balor's things.
That's why I'm thinking it's going to be Dom who, says, yeah, I've been in cahoots with Liv Morgan the whole time. But who's really been in control? It's Finn Balor.
See, I think Dom actually stays with Rhea. And you have Priest, Dom, Rhea on one side. Pretty much the original Judgment Day, if you will, outside of Dom coming in, versus Finn, Liv, and JD.
So don't get me wrong. This match on Saturday is going to be great. They are going to beat the absolute snot out of each other. I'm very excited to see Rhea Ripley live. It's just this whole storyline with Dom, Rhea, and Liv being this whole love triangle dynamic. That part's just not clicking for me. I've tried to get into it, and I'm just, no, thank you. I
Let's
don't like
put it
this.
this way. I think this match is only the beginning, as I told you a couple weeks ago or last week, of this ongoing fall storyline on Monday Night Raw.
So, I think it'll be a good match. I can't say it's going to be a great match, but then again, it's Rhea Ripley. I don't know.
Let's move to the other women's match, which of course features the WWE Women's Championship, where Bayley, of course, won the championship off of her former Damage Control stablemate Io Sky at Night 2 of WrestleMania 40, takes on the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax.
The problem with this match is, yes, Bayley has had a legitimate title reign. Not that, so I don't want to say it like that, but Bayley hasn't really had a feud for her to really
signature feud. Yeah, I think right out of the gate, I enjoy the triple threat with her, Naomi, and Tiffy at Backlash. The Chelsea Green Piper Niven feud was better than what it should have been. I thought Piper gave her an excellent match at Clash of the Castle as well as on SmackDown a couple of weeks later. But I think that ever since Nia got drafted to SmackDown, if you remember her first night, she attacked Bayley. It's been leading to this. There's obviously been they have even mentioned the history between Nia and Bayley that dates all the way back to 2017. But we have an interesting element with this match, and that is the woman's Money in the Bank briefcase, Tiffy time, Tiffany Stratton. And let me tell you how I think this is going to go down. Shocking the entire WWE universe in attendance. I actually believe Nia Jax is going to hit an annihilator and pin Bailey clean in the ring. One, two, three. She will become your new women's champion. But as she's getting up, as she's celebrating from behind, Tiffany Stratton will hit her in the back with the briefcase. They're not going to play out this whole will you cash in, will you not, buddy buddy storyline for months. It's going to happen immediately. A prettiest moonsault ever. And Tiffy Time is walking out of Cleveland, your new women's world champion.
So it's interesting that you mentioned Tiffany Stratton and that whole thing. Because if you remember, during Money in the Bank, she had a backstage segment with Trish Stratus, and then I think it was on the SmackDown after Money in the Bank, Tiffany cut another promo on Trish Stratus, and I thought that was going to turn into a, a somewhat legit feud, and we might see that match happen this weekend at SummerSlam. That doesn't seem to be the case. Um, Personally, I would have liked to see that match because I would have liked just be one because I would have liked to have seen a non-title women's match be on the card, but also I would like to see a Trish Stratus match in person because I have never seen that. So that's just my personal preference on that. But in regards to this, like I said, I it's been a good feud. Don't get me wrong, but Bailey again, like you said, Bailey hasn't had that signature feud yet. So, like, if they take the title off of her, my reaction is just gonna be, okay, you know, if Bailey retains, same reaction. I'm not gonna be going crazy and going, oh my god, Bailey retained. I'm gonna be like, okay, like, do you kind of get what I
I,
mean?
I think Bailey had the same problem that I said, and I, in my opinion, am correct on this, that Cody Rhodes had when he finished his story and beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, which is what's next, right? Because Bailey was involved in this damage control storyline. We knew it was coming on for so long. But with SmackDown and it being only 2 hours, and really the lack of credible heels outside of Nia and Tiffany on the roster, there was not a ton of people for here to feud with as champion. It was always my concern. And so, for that reason, by the way, I think that Miss Stratton, who, and I believe 21 or 22 years old, I know she's younger than both you and I, for only being in the wrestling business for 2 to 3 years, I think is an absolute star. I think she's a moneymaker. I think she's mature enough to hold the championship at this age. I think it's someone you could promote. I think it's someone that you can back the company with. Not saying Bailey wasn't that, but I think at this point Bailey doesn't need the title in her career, and I think you could start the Tiffy era and have it go all the way to WrestleMania, like the way they did with Io Sky a year ago.
And that's part of the reason why I'm saying maybe Tiffany Stratton should face Trish Stratus at SummerSlam. So you can kind of divert that attention away from her possibly cashing in. Because if she has a match, against against Trish Stratus, excuse me, I feel like people aren't gonna think about her cashing in as much. Like, go back to WrestleMania, I think it was 31. Correct me if I'm wrong. When Seth when Seth had his match with Randy Orton, did you believe that he was going to cash in during the Roman Reigns
Well,
Brock
nobody's
Lesnar?
not during because it's never been done before. If I recall, well, that was a long time ago, but I had predicted that Seth Rollins would cash in at some point at WrestleMania.
Okay, but I felt like, maybe, do you kind of get where I'm going with
Yeah,
this?
I mean, it always obviously takes a little realism out of the occasion when you had a match. You don't expect somebody to come back. But I think every time there's a championship match and you know there's a Money in the Bank briefcase holder, especially on that brand, and you know it could be an either way thing, and the Money in the Bank holder has already been involved with you, it's going to be on the back of your mind, even if, and it's always unexpected, no matter if you're expecting it or not.
You know what's interesting though, and I don't really like this. They've made it clear that Tiffany Stratton is going to cash in on the SmackDown champion. Like,
Well, no, not necessarily. I disagree with you on that because her first promo when she came out as champion, she specifically said, "I can cash in on SmackDown, I can cash in on Raw, I can cash in on NXT." She told Bayley if she was in her way, she was going to cash in on her. And again, that's what the briefcase holder should say because they're on the same brand as the champion. They cannot really cross brands, but theoretically, she could cash in on any brand she wants.
yes, but the way they've told the story, they've kind of made it clear she's going to cash in on either Bayley or Nia.
And by the way, in my opinion, that's not a bad thing because SmackDown needs her. Raw's storyline, we just talked about what Raw's storyline is going to be for this entire fall. Now, if you want to wait for Tiffy and have her after this storyline, I guess you could. I just think now's the time.
Like, here's my thing. If you have Tiffany Stratton cash in on either Rhea or Liv, and she becomes the champion on Raw, I feel like you can still do the Liv Rhea storyline even with the championship out of the picture.
A lot of it, though, did you hear what Rhea said on Raw? A lot of her anger is because she's no longer champion. The championship is part of the storyline.
That part is true. I'll give you that. For me, this is just a personal preference. I've always liked non-title feuds more than title feuds because I just feel like, in my opinion anyway, non-title feuds get more personal and get more intense. And
there's one on this card that's certainly personal and intense. I don't want to get to it yet, but we will. I want to get to first. We'll get to the mid card championships. I want to start with the one on Raw. Braun Breaker, Intercontinental Championship. He is challenging Sami Zayn. This is a rematch from Money in the Bank. And as I told you last week, unfortunately for Sami Zayn, I think he may end up in the Cleveland Clinic at the end of this match because with the way that WWE Premium Live events have operated, and this is going to be obviously a bigger event, it's 7 matches instead of 5. But if there's one squash match that's going to be on this card, this is it. And I think Braun Breaker will probably dispose of Sami Zayn in somewhat quick fashion.
I am surprised that they took Ilya Dragunov out of this match, seemingly. Because it kind of felt like the way the story was going, that it was going to be a triple threat match, which I would not have been disappointed if that's the route they had gone. Because Ilya Dragunov is just, I don't know what he is. He's a different breed, I'll say. But in the best way possible.
Who's not to say that there's not a bigger direction for that match to happen sometime down the line at Bash in Berlin or even on a Monday Night Raw because the title's been defended on Raw a lot.
That's true. But I just feel like that SummerSlam would have been a great opportunity to have a triple threat match. Because you look at the SummerSlam card, there's no tag team match. There's no multi-person match. It's all just straight singles matches.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a little weird, but at the same time, I'm not against Braun and Sami just running it back. I think, to protect Sami, maybe you do the triple threat. I get where you're coming from. But I think if they just want Braun Breaker to be as dominant, and they, at Money in the Bank, the storyline was he underestimated Sami Zayn. He made a mistake. Sami caught him. Now I think Braun Breaker is going to be a laser focus. He takes out Sami Zayn, and he goes on to a relatively long championship reign, I would guess.
I don't think... While I agree that Braun Breaker's walking out of SummerSlam with the Intercontinental Championship, I disagree with you that it's going to be a squash match because we've seen when Sami's been underestimated, that's when he comes up big and pulls off victories that you don't expect.
I don't think it's going to be a squash. I just don't think it's going to be as long as their Money in the Bank match. Again,
Sure,
I think if there's one match on this card that's probably going to be the shortest, it's probably this one.
right, but it shouldn't be that Braun comes out and like spears him out of his shoes in 10 seconds. I don't want that.
I think I mean, there is a scenario out there where Braun just spears him over and over and over again.
You mean like what Goldberg did against Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam a few years ago?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, again, if you want to make Breaker, maybe he attacks him from behind or something, and then just keeps spearing him and spearing him. Like, if you want to make Breaker what I think they're going to do and try to make him the next Brock Lesnar, this is a step for him to do that.
I'm Here's my thing. I'm not opposed to Braun Breaker winning the Intercontinental Championship. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I just don't want it to be couple spears and it's over. Like we've seen Sammy. Like, did anybody legitimately think he was going to beat Roman at Elimination Chamber? Probably not. But he put up such a good effort in that match. He made you believe he could actually do it. You know, we've seen it be countless times from
We
him.
just saw it at WrestleMania against Gunther. Nobody in the world predicted that outcome.
Exactly. Like when Sammy hit that brainbuster on Gunther on that top rope, I I think I fell out of the couch. For me, that was the move of WrestleMania overall. Like it was that good. Um so I think this is going to be a very competitive match again. Do I think it's going to be as long as their Money in the Bank match overall? No, but I think it's going to be just as competitive.
How about the other mid card match where LA Knight, is going up against Logan Paul for the United States Championship, and Logan Paul is hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. Who is Mr. Ohio that's going to introduce him? I have no freaking idea. It could be some celebrity. I think it's going to be fascinating. But to me, this does feel like it is LA Knight's time. For all you guys that complain about Roman Reigns never defending the championship, Logan Paul's defended it twice. Royal Rumble against Kevin Owens, WrestleMania against Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. That's it for his nearly 10-month title reign. It's time to put the belt on LA Knight. Yeah.
The fact that Logan Paul is the only guy from Cleveland that is wrestling on SummerSlam is an absolute travesty. Why is Miz? Why
I
is Miz?
wouldn't go there.
Why is Miz not having a match?
I think Miz will end up having a match. I think they will have a segment that will lead into a match with who, I don't know what.
Johnny Gargano, okay, he's having a match against the Bloodline on SmackDown. Why couldn't they have put that match on SummerSlam? But nonetheless, yeah, I don't know why they put the U.S. Championship on Logan Paul in the first place.
It's called viewers. It's called popularity. It's called putting it on every single podcast in America. For however you feel about the presidential election this year, you do realize Logan Paul was carrying the United States Championship in with a former president of the United States. That is called notoriety and getting the championship in the mainstream because the U.S. Championship has been dead for 10 years. That's why they did it.
But, dude, you gotta defend the title. Like, what? I'm sorry, but in that regard, I actually liked Roman Reigns because at least he defended the title.
And by the way, Rey Mysterio never got his rematch for the title. I mean, Logan just won and disappeared, and then they did the feud with Kevin Owens. I thought he was going to drop the title at WrestleMania. And they've been building this LA Knight match for a year. Ever since last year's SummerSlam, when LA Knight was, in my opinion, tragically, to use your words, in the Slim Jim Battle Royal instead of, a high-profile match when his popularity was at an all-time high. It's still high, but it's not as high as what it once was. But I think that LA Knight will make the United States Championship. I well, I was always going to say great again, but I don't want to steal from a presidential nominee. So he will make the United States Championship relevant again.
Yeah. That this seems like the most likely outcome of all the SummerSlam matches. This seems like the one that's most easy to predict.
All right, let's go to the non-title feud. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, the special guest referee, your favorite wrestler in the company, Seth freaking Rollins. Where the only rule in this match is to abide by the refereeing officiating of one Seth freaking Rollins. And according to Drew McIntyre, he's gonna rip the heart out of one Phil Brooks.
This match, I'm sorry I'm laughing. I, what hasn't this feud had? I mean,
Credit to both guys. By the way, I will say this over and over and over again. This feud, technically, if you want to be really technical, it started the Night at Survivor Series in November of last year when CM Punk made his return to WWE. Checks notes, it is going to be August 3rd, nearly 9 months, and the only in ring action they had is when Drew McIntyre delivered a future shock DDT to CM Punk that separated his tricep. That's it, and yet it feels like they've been wrestling each other for 9 months.
the interesting thing about that though is it seemed like they really kicked off that moment you're talking about at Survivor Series. More so kicked off the feud between Punk and Rollins.
Yes, and that has been going ever since. I was in the building in December in Cleveland when CM Punk, who, by the way, we all know I was in the arena that night. I don't remember if you said if you were in the arena that night of
No, I
January
did.
20,
No, I did not go to that Monday Night Raw.
okay, January 27th, 2014. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were all wondering why Alberto Del Rio and Kofi Kingston had a damn near 45-minute match on Monday Night Raw. Turns out half of that time was supposed to go to CM Punk. And then 10 years later, CM Punk returns to WWE, signs his Monday Night Raw contract in Cleveland, which, by the way, is somehow also his UFC debut arena in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
I was at that UFC event, UFC 203.
There you go. So CM Punk somehow, even though he's a Chicago kid and he loves the Chicago Cubs, as we know, he has a lot of history with our home city and our hometown.
I was also at the AEW Dynamite where they did the title unification bout between him and Moxley.
I forgot that was in Cleveland.
Yep, I was at that AEW Dynamite where you had the broken foot angle, which, you know, as much as I shit on CM Punk, he's been so good when it comes to the non-title feuds, whether it's been in AEW or WWE. I mean, like everything with Drew McIntyre has been awesome. And then you go over to AEW. I loved his feud with MJF. That was one of the best feuds AEW has ever done.
I would argue it's the best.
Ooh, I don't know about that because Swerve and Hangman are just, oh my god, that
it's up there. It's close.
Oh yeah, and everything with Punk and Darby when Punk first came into AEW was great. Personally, I did not like the Punk Hangman stuff. I don't want to get into all that shit.
We exactly like you said. I don't want to get into all that shit. I'm gonna ask you a question because, in my opinion, this is the way I see it. This match is gonna have no rules, weapons everywhere. People are gonna be beating the hell out of each other all over the arena. How does this match end?
I don't know because you know they're gonna stretch this into like 2 or 3 matches at least. So I genuinely have no idea because my guess is this trilogy is going to end with a Hell in a Cell match, probably at the Bad Blood Premium Live event in, I believe that's October, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's October 5th in Atlanta.
Okay. So the question is, how do you get there? I
And does that involve Rollins? Is he still involved with the feud? Of course, we're going to answer up next the World Heavyweight Championship match and what that means for potentially him and others in the future. I think no one is going to win this match. Some way, somehow, Rollins is going to curb stomp both of them and just walk out. And they're just going to keep fighting, and Adam Pearce is just going to declare it a no contest. Something like that is going to happen. No one is going to win this match.
You could definitely do that. I'd be all right with that. But at the same time, I feel like you should have a winner of some sort. Even if it's through funny business, I feel like you need to have a winner.
Do you do a situation where, like, I don't know, Punk walks in the Anaconda Vice on Drew. Drew taps out, but Punk's shoulders are also down. Like, do you do something like that? Do you do it where Drew claymores Punk and, both their shoulders are down for a free count? Like, I don't know how you're going to get to it, but I don't think Rollins can make either one of them the winner. So that's where I'm thinking if he's going to stay the referee the whole match, no one is going to win.
I could definitely see a scenario like that, but I feel like if anybody's gonna win this match, my guess is that it's actually gonna be Drew, because
I tend to agree with you.
Rollins' hatred for Drew isn't nearly at the level of Seth's hatred for Punk.
To me, the ultimate line of what Rollins said last night was there's nobody in the world that hates CM Punk more than Drew McIntyre besides Seth Rollins. There's nobody in the world that hates Drew McIntyre more than CM Punk but Seth Rollins.
So I I'm actually a little bit surprised this is just a regular match. It's probably going to end up being more of a no DQ match, but
there is going to be no rules. Rollins made that clear. There's only one rule. You have to listen to whatever he says.
So essentially this is going to be a no DQ match then.
This is going to be you could fight on the street, see if I give a fuck match.
Okay.
Shall we talk about El Champion and the Ring General, who is looking to bring prestige back to this great sport as Gunther, the winner of the King of the Ring, challenges El Champion, and right now, the leader of the Judgment Day, Damian Priest.
I'll tell you what, out of all the matches on the SummerSlam card, this is the one that I'm most interested in. I don't know what it is. There's just something about how they've built this up that just has me so interested.
And Priest all of a sudden turning face, which I did not expect.
I have no idea who's gonna win this match. We just talked about all the scenarios that could happen with Punk and Drew and everything with Seth. So yeah, I would say that match and this match has the most mystery surrounding them in terms of not knowing which way you're going to go. Because you could keep the title on Priest, do the rematch at Bash in Berlin, and that's where Gunther wins it. But here's the other scenario. You could have Priest retain, and then maybe you do revisit everything with Seth, because if you remember, Priest said, I'm clearing away that stipulation. So if you want run this back with me, we can do it. And then at Bad Blood, you do Finn Balor versus Damian Priest, maybe in a Hell in a Cell match for the championship.
I know you've been calling that. I don't think it goes that direction at all. I am kind of in the minority. I was in the majority, and I think a lot of people have flipped it. I still think Gunther is walking out of Cleveland the World Heavyweight Champion.
Let me just stop you right there. If that's the route they go, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not saying that Gunther should not win this championship. I'm just giving you a scenario of why Priest retains. That's
I
all.
can totally see him retaining, but I have made the argument to you and others that will listen to me that there's only been three people in Gunther/Walter's run in WWE that have defeated him. Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 40, Braun Breaker on a random NXT, and Ilya Dragunov in NXT UK. That's it. So if Gunther is not going to walk away the world champion, in my opinion, he is not going to be pinned, and we know he's not going to submit. And as I talked about, one of the things I love about Gunther, you don't know if he's going to beat you with a sleeper hold. You don't know if he's going to beat you with a power bomb. You don't know if he's going to beat you with a clothesline. You don't know if he's going to beat you with the West Sympathy. He has so many different maneuvers in his arsenal. And as great as Damian Priest has been, as great as he's gotten over, I think to start the dissension of the Judgment Day, none of the Judgment Day members, besides obviously the World Tag Team Champions, Finn Balor and JD McDonough, will be champion after SummerSlam.
Excuse me. Um, I just think this is going to be such a hard hitting match. Like, the promos they've been cutting on each other over the past couple weeks have been so good. And I'm I can't even imagine what it's going to sound like in the Brown Stadium to hear Gunther just chopping the chest of Priest. Like,
and again, if Priest beats Gunther, I don't mind it at all. I just want to know how you get to Gunther getting on his shoulders for 3 seconds, because it's not going to be Priest doing it alone. Does Finn Balor or somebody hit him with the World Championship? I could see the opposite where Finn goes to Gunther and he hits Priest instead, because I don't think Gunther is just going to beat Priest clean probably either. There's probably going to be some sort of Judgment Day interference.
Here's my concern. You have 3 possible matches where there's going to be shenanigans. Rhea versus Rhea versus Liv, and then obviously Drew versus Punk, and then you have this match. I'm a little concerned that SummerSlam's going to be oversaturated with shenanigans.
You're leaving one big one out, the match that we have not got to yet.
Yes. Solo versus Cody.
So that's 4 out of 7. And by the way, does somebody on Logan Paul's team or even Austin Theory or Grayson Waller interfere against LA Knight? That's a situation that could go down too.
So, do you share my concern that SummerSlam could be oversaturated with shenanigans?
No, because I think the story calls for it, and I think this is typical Triple H. When Triple H was a wrestler, when he was world champion, when he was on top in Evolution and the DX days, there was always shenanigans in his heel factions. And it's just how he books, even going back to the Undisputed Era in NXT and Imperium. So no, because I think most of these stories call for it, and I don't know. I just think the outcome is so unpredictable. It's going to be like whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. I think other than Braun versus LA Knight, I keep screwing this up. I mean, other than LA Knight versus Logan Paul, I think the most predictable match is the main event, Cody versus Solo.
I'm kind of with you, but there is a scenario out there where Solo Sikoa becomes the undisputed champion. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying it's not a 0. That's what I'm saying.
I would agree. Personally, I would not take the tag team titles off of DIY on SmackDown, but that's probably what they're going to do because they don't want Jacob Fatu to suffer a loss yet. But Roman Reigns is coming back.
The biggest question is how and when. And not only if Roman Reigns shows up, but did you hear this rumor flying around the internet this week?
The Rock?
There's a final boss out there who has just wrapped up filming his movie.
don't know.
Listen, I don't think it's going to happen. If it does happen, I will scream like a little girl. I will acknowledge it right here on this podcast.
Okay,
I just
here's
want to
my
sit back and enjoy it. I don't know what the hell is going to happen.
here's my here's my big question. When Roman comes back, if he uses his entrance music, does he go with the head of the table music that he's been using,
Yeah.
or or does he bring, since he's coming back as a babyface?
Is
Does he
he?
go? Yeah.
I would say he's going to be a tweener. He's not going to be a straight baby face.
Okay. Either way, do you think there's a possibility he goes back to the big dog entrance?
No. And I'll tell you why. Roman Reigns' big dog career is over. Roman Reigns is now the tribal chief. He is now the head of the table. Roman Reigns is more recognized now, arguably, than he was back when he was the big dog. You cannot go from that title reign as the third most historic championship reign in the history of the freaking sport back to the big dog, where he was getting dog food thrown on him by Baron Corbin. That's 100% no.
The only the only reason I'm asking you that is because we know he's going to be put right into this story with Solo Sikoa about head of the table bloodline stuff. Maybe you want. That's why I'm asking. Don't necessarily change his character or his character as head of the table and stuff, but maybe go back to using the big dog music just to make it feel a little bit different.
Well, you're saying go back. Do you know how many WWE fans have become new fans since Roman Reigns became the tribal chief? I would argue a lot. And I would argue a lot of those people in that audience that are casuals know who Roman Reigns is. They have no idea that he was the big dog. They only know that music because Roman Reigns, as I said, has become more mainstream since becoming the tribal chief and having that championship reign than he did as the big dog, and he was successful as the big dog.
The one problem with the big dog character was Vince McMahon shoved him down our throats when he didn't need.
He should have never been in that WrestleMania 31 main event. It should have went to Daniel Bryan. They should have did Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar that year. I will argue that to my grave. And then Roman Reigns would have never got booed. Then they should have turned him heel after he beat The Undertaker WrestleMania 33. That was the big mistake. That's when Roman lost all his momentum.
Yeah, I agree. And he shouldn't have faced Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 34. I didn't know. But,
well, he shouldn't have lost it.
Huh?
He shouldn't have lost that match and then just to win it back at SummerSlam. You might as well put the title on him at Mania.
Yes. I did like his Mania 35 match against Drew McIntyre. That was personally one of my favorite matches.
He was sympathized at that point because he was coming off leukemia, obviously. So, yes, I agree with you there. But again, the biggest question here is going to be, how does Roman Reigns return? Is it during the match? Is it after the match?
Yes.
Because I think I see a scenario where the referee gets knocked out, Roman's music hits. Roman comes down and he's standing, Solo's down, or he's about to get up, and Roman is staring face to face with Cody. And everybody thinks Roman's going to go after Cody. He sidesteps Cody and spears Solo.
I think most people believe he's going to go after Solo. Like, they're not even hiding it anymore. And we got a comment here. Ungar, can't you hear that?
Is that the old Roman dinner?
It was so good. I get it. It was the Shield's music, and that's why I think Roman could get away with using that song again. I think Roman could get away with it.
Again, I
But
think Roman's in a different evolution of his character. I think WWE is in a different time. Roman has said, by the way, he's never going back to the big dog. So
I okay, fair. But in terms of this match, I mean, you know there's going to be shenanigans from the bloodline. Jacob Fatu probably. I it feels like Cody has to retain because you have the Randy Orton story sitting right there.
you know what I would love personally? If everything that happens, what we played out happens, Roman and Cody go face to face, Roman spears solo, Cody wins. We think the show is going off the air with Roman and Cody staring at each other, and Rock's music hits. And that's how SummerSlam ends. Cody, Roman, and Rock in the middle of the ring.
Actually, I don't have a better idea, but what I would love is like Roman does whatever he's going to do, and then Cody's standing there holding the title. Boom! RKO.
See, me and C Boss talked about this. I don't remember if me and you talked about it. We might have. We talked about this when we previewed Money in the Bank when you were on vacation in South Carolina. We both agreed the problem with Randy and Cody, and I get it, the storyline is just there. But I think, in my personal opinion, Randy Orton is at Edge's stage in his career when he returned from WWE from his season, from his neck injury in 2011. That when he turned to the Judgment Day, people didn't want to boo Edge. They wanted to celebrate what they had left in Edge. I think Randy being gone for 18 months and Randy being super over. I'm not saying he can't do it because Randy is a fantastic heel. But now with everybody singing the Voices theme song and everything with it, I don't know if you can turn Randy Orton heel again.
Knowing we've seen Randy, he could easily turn heel and get the crowd to go against him.
That's what we thought about Edge, though, and it didn't work.
I think Randy is more capable of being that type of heel than Edge was.
I think they're on the same level. And again, I think Randy's capable. But again, are people going to boo him? I know I'm not going to boo a heel Randy.
I wouldn't boo him only because I would be so invested in the story itself.
I wouldn't boo Randy because I freaking love Randy Orton. I think me and you talked about this. I think he's one of the GOATs.
Oh, yeah. For me, Randy Orton is easily on the Mount Rushmore.
I think you could do Randy and Cody and not turn Randy fully heel.
The problem with that, though, is I feel like you have to turn Randy heel so they can fully dive into all the history between the two of them.
See, I think booking Randy and Cody puts Cody in the same position back when he left AEW, which is the fans are going to start turning on him. He's not going to turn heel, and it's going to be here we go again.